And that extends the whole trial process by easily 2 to 3 months. So if he just pleaded guilty to that, things would be over pretty quickly. He would get his sentence and he would at least know what his fate is. But now they're deciding to extend the process for no real upside. And by him not pleading guilty, that just makes the sentence even harsher on him.
We find ourselves at the edge of a story so outrageous, so utterly unsalvageable, that even the most cynical gossip veterans are left gawking. Johnny Somali, real name Ramsey Khalid Ismael, has done the impossible. He's burned through every ounce of goodwill, legal patience, and family loyalty in his life, leaving him exposed, alone, and teetering on the precipice of disaster. We're watching the freefall in real time, and the ground is coming up fast. His once infamous bravado, streaming chaos from Japan to Korea, taunting strangers, waving controversy like a red flag, has been replaced by an air of naked desperation. His legal defense? Ruined. His prospects? Bleaker by the hour. In the halls of Seoul's courthouses, the whispers aren't about whether Johnny Somali will serve time. They're about how many years the judge can actually pile on.
Okay, so we just got out of Johnny Somali's third court day here in the beautiful yet rainy Seoul, South Korea. And it's safe to say, last time things went terrible for him. Today things went awful, and honestly kind of embarrassing because a lot of the stuff they did not make sense whatsoever. Clearly, he was way more locked in. He realized how much he screwed up now, it seems like, and he's realizing, uh-oh, I might be stuck in prison for a long time.
What's made this spiral so uniquely catastrophic isn't just the scale of the public outrage or the growing list of accusations. No, it's the spectacle of total abandonment. Not just a bad lawyer-client split, we're talking a legal exodus. His own defense counsel, originally a public defender, reportedly the only one left willing to be associated with the circus, has had enough and walked out. Imagine reaching a point where even court-appointed lawyers refuse the case. In South Korea, a country not known for theatrical resignations, that's as close to an obituary as it gets. Insiders close to the process tell us that Johnny Somali's antics and inability to follow basic instructions made him more liability than client. The prosecutor across the aisle, a veteran with a 90% win rate, smells blood in the water. The consensus? This is a textbook unwinnable case, and Johnny knows it.
So today, at least, he was very serious. So, currently he's facing 8 counts, or 8 charges, and 4 of which are obstruction of businesses, 2 of which are misdemeanors. He pled guilty to all 6 of those charges. Then you have the 2 big charges, which are the deepfakes charges, and the deepfake charges are for distributing the deepfakes.
But here's the gut punch that really puts this saga in the historic train wreck category. His family, the people who once shielded him, who tried, however feebly, to keep him tethered to some semblance of decency, have now severed all ties. The rumor, repeated by 2 sources with direct knowledge, is that Johnny's parents, once so determined to keep his record clean, to send him back to Phoenix with a slap on the wrist and a tearful apology, are now done. 0 support, financial or otherwise. No lawyers, no letters, not even a call. He begged, they refused. Whether it was the mounting legal bills, the never-ending tabloid shame, or the simple exhaustion of defending the indefensible, the bridge is now not just burned, it's smoldering ruins on both sides. We're told Johnny made one last desperate call home after being informed of the new charges, but was rebuffed. When your own parents block your number as you stare down a possible decade behind bars in a foreign country, it's not a low point. It's a warning to others.
This is called merging in a charge. It is atypical for this to happen once, but it is completely unprecedented from the people I've talked to, lawyers, others in this process, to see this many merged into the case, which really means they are hitting him and with needles and needles and needles procedurally.
The charges alone would be enough to break most people. For Johnny Somali, it's a growing list. Obstruction of business, violations of Korea's public conduct laws, AI deepfake shenanigans, repeated harassment, and now an investigation into allegedly blasting propaganda from the north at full volume on a city bus. The victim in one case has even demanded the maximum sentence, with a petition in court highlighting Johnny's lack of remorse and no reconciliation. Each new count means new time, and the talk in the legal backrooms is that the final tally could reach 10 years. If convicted on all counts, the cumulative sentence will be measured in years, not months, one sole defense attorney noted dryly after reviewing the filings. And just when you think it can't get worse, reports emerged that Johnny is under a travel ban, his passport frozen, stuck in South Korea as the months drag by and the walls close in. It's hard to overstate the mess he's made of every chance at mercy. Even after pleading guilty to multiple counts, obstruction, minor public misbehavior, what the locals call causing a commotion, Johnny managed to keep streaming his delusions of innocence, ranting about diplomatic protection and U.S. government rescue missions while wearing a red cap at court, yes, that cap, despite repeated warnings to take it off. If that's not enough, he actually went live and got spectacularly drunk the night before his trial, wandering Seoul's streets for content. He was over an hour late to court the next morning. This isn't just self-destruction, it's performance art for the chronically online. And the Korean authorities, hardly known for their sense of humor in these matters, are more than happy to let him keep digging.
So he was living in Japan for a while, and one night he gets drunk and he live streams himself putting on a fake Asian accent, and he starts saying racist things on the subway.
Hiroshima and Nagasaki, we destroy it because you don't know how to behave. You know Hiroshima and Nagasaki? We're gonna do it again.
The backdrop to this saga is a tidal wave of public anger, not just in Korea, but across East Asia. Johnny Somali didn't just break the law, he broke the unspoken rules. Desecrating memorials, especially those commemorating wartime suffering, is the sort of thing that makes headlines for all the wrong reasons. His viral video antics kissing and dancing on statues dedicated to comfort women, harassing store clerks and subway passengers, even baiting strangers with music and inappropriate sound effects, have earned him a very public bounty, with other YouTubers and angry locals actually hunting him down, live, on camera. "Damn, Koreans going hard AF, we salute you," read one widely shared comment after a well-publicized altercation. Even the Korean parliament got involved, debating whether new laws are needed to keep nuisance streamers like Johnny Somali out for good.
Johnny Somali is frequently getting arrested in foreign countries for his on-stream behavior, but they always let him go. With the amount of sentences this guy's avoided, you'd think he's autistic.
It would be almost comic if it weren't so bleak. There's no bigger insult to Korean pride than watching a foreign provocateur waltz through their public spaces, sneering at the rules, then begging for help when the hammer comes down. Johnny's apologies, delivered at the insistence of angry vigilantes, captured on video for all to dissect, fall flat. "I just want to apologize for what I have done, and my behaviors did not mean to hurt Koreans' pride this much," he said, looking every inch the contrite outsider, but nobody seems to be buying it. The apology was immediately followed by yet more antics on social media and a stubborn refusal to delete old footage. What's left is a man completely isolated, distrusted by the public, despised by fellow streamers, and here's the kicker, still convinced he'll walk free.
My guess is police have been looking for an excuse to bring him down for a long time. And finally, he did something actually illegal.
If there's a single moment that sums up the surreal nature of Johnny Somali's situation, it's the rumors swirling about his attempts to buy his way out. According to two independent tipsters, Johnny's last-ditch strategy involved contacting lawyers outside Korea, allegedly offering cash in exchange for interference in his ongoing case. One former associate claims Johnny bragged about having connections in Thailand and the US who could make problems go away for the right price. To say that this reeks of desperation is putting it mildly, and yet, it might also be the clearest proof yet that Johnny knows he's out of options. As one legal commentator put it, when someone starts shopping for miracles in the international legal market, you can be sure the end is near. The lawyers, for their part, have reportedly refused any involvement. Nobody wants to touch the case. The rumors remain just that, with no official comment, but the very fact that people believe them speaks volumes about how far Johnny has fallen. Meanwhile, the trial grinds on, with every day bringing fresh humiliation. The victim's petition for the maximum possible penalty is now public record, and there's little doubt that the prosecution will push for the harshest outcome. If found valid and Somali is convicted, the petition could push his sentence from a minimum of 6 months to over 4 years, a prominent legal streamer recently noted. And that's not even counting the new investigations for inappropriate conduct at an amusement park, or the allegations of creating AI deepfakes featuring local celebrities. Every headline is another nail in the coffin of his public image, and every live stream just adds fuel to the fire. Even his former supporters are abandoning ship, with the US State Department allegedly washing its hands of his case, according to an expat lawyer who's been tracking the drama. If Johnny thought an American passport would save him, he's in for a rude awakening.
For the people out there, this is the sentencing range before today. It changes wildly, and you're going to see it in the best way. And that's the best way for me and those who want Johnny Somali convicted, and the worst way for Johnny Somali after this one is added. So
There's a strange sense of inevitability to the way things are unfolding, as if every reckless act was just another brick in the wall closing around him. Even after being physically attacked on multiple occasions during live broadcasts, once by a rival streamer, once by an angry local, Johnny couldn't seem to grasp the gravity of his predicament. Instead, he spun each incident into more content, more provocation, more reasons for the authorities to keep piling on the charges. He's become a symbol not just of Western arrogance, but of the new generation of nuisance streamers who mistake viral fame for invincibility. But the system in Korea is nothing if not patient, and the prosecutors have made it clear they're going to make an example of Johnny Somali.
Anyway, Johnny Somali was arrested partially for his own safety because after days of him streaming himself being incredibly rude and disruptive in South Korea, there were literally hundreds of Asian people on the street all hunting down a black guy to sucker punch.
The rumor mill is, of course, working overtime. Talk of additional charges keeps surfacing. Anti-terrorism law violations, more public disturbance, even spreading propaganda from the north. This post by Johnny Somali could earn him additional charges of up to 7 years in South Korean prison, warns one high-profile legal commentator. After a video surfaced showing Johnny playing sensitive music on public transit, the law in Korea is clear. Promoting or distributing certain content is not just frowned upon, it's criminal. Johnny's repeated insistence that it was all a joke is falling on deaf ears, and every new violation is another potential decade behind bars. And through all of this, we can't help but wonder, what goes through the mind of a man who's lost everything, yet keeps doubling down? What compels someone to alienate every possible ally, to torch bridges until there's nothing left but smoke and ash? Is it hubris, self-destruction, or just plain disbelief that consequences could finally stick? For now, we watch as the countdown continues, each hearing, each revelation, each humiliating twist, bringing Johnny Somali closer to a verdict that will define his legacy forever.
This American influencer wants to be famous, but now he's probably going to prison.
All the while, behind the court drama and crumbling relationships, another subplot has been brewing, one that reveals just how deeply Johnny Somali's ego has sabotaged any hope of a dignified exit. In the shadows of Telegram channels and Discord servers, we've seen Johnny double down on the worst instincts possible, seeking advice not from legal professionals, but from an anonymous pack of online loyalists. For months, his private chat group, self-dubbed legal strategists, but in reality the type of digital warriors who think sovereign citizen TikToks are a masterclass in international law, were his main counsel. Instead of prepping for court with real legal arguments, Johnny let these faceless voices convince him that shouting free speech and denying every obvious fact would be his get-out-of-jail card, as if Seoul's judicial system was just a subreddit waiting to be trolled. The spectacle that followed was inevitable. Every hearing, every filing, became less a defense and more a one-man circus, starring Johnny as the clueless ringleader in his own disaster.
So this turd, his name is Johnny Somali. Well, that's not his actual name. His real name is Ramsey.
It's almost hard to watch if it weren't so infuriating. We're told by someone familiar with those Discord threads that Johnny's team actually crafted entire documents built around fantasy legal theories and YouTube lawyer memes. He came in with pages of internet jargon claiming the court had no authority over him because he was streaming as a social experiment. The judge wasn't even amused, just confused, says one courtroom regular who's witnessed more than a few oddball defenses. The sheer arrogance, walking into a South Korean court facing real charges and thinking you can outsmart a prosecutor with a 90% win rate by parroting advice from moderators who've never even set foot in Asia, truly boggles the mind. There's a lesson here about online echo chambers, but for Johnny Somali, it's already far too late. As his legal missteps piled up, so did the blunders. Instead of recognizing the severity of his situation, Johnny kept doubling down. One botched hearing after another, one ill-advised livestream after another. Each attempt to win over internet audiences only deepened the crater under his own feet. When the prosecution presented hours of footage, some of it streamed by Johnny himself, his defense team, such as it was, responded with vague denials, half-hearted apologies, and more Discord-fueled distractions. Freedom of speech doesn't cover what you did here, the judge reportedly replied at one point, according to a leak from the clerk's office. If there was ever a time to be humble, to listen, to cut your losses, this was it. Instead, Johnny became an online spectacle, not just for his outlandish stunts, but for the jaw-dropping incompetence of his entire strategy.
Although Johnny is incredibly good at getting out of things. For example, somehow he was able to leave Israel a free man after he was arrested for harassing a military police officer.
But as the focus of his online world narrowed, the chaos at home was reaching a new level. The whispers around the family feud have gotten louder, and what started as quiet disappointment has now become something more pointed. Almost Shakespearean, if we're being honest. Not only have Johnny Somali's parents refused to send a cent for his mounting legal fees, but the latest rumor from sources who claim to know the family's private affairs is even more chilling. A distant relative, possibly a sibling or an uncle, accounts differ, may have passed along damning evidence directly to prosecutors in Seoul. The word is that this insider provided chat logs, behind-the-scenes messages, and possibly location data, all of which could cement the case against Johnny. For a man already abandoned by the world, the idea that his own blood could be the architect of his undoing is almost too much to process. No family statement has been made public, why would they invite the spotlight now? But the context speaks volumes. The Somali household, once quietly supportive even as Johnny's antics spiraled out of control, has now apparently chosen to sever all ties and may be actively ensuring he cannot return to the fold. One longtime neighbor, who has watched the Ismaels since Johnny was in grade school, said, "There was always trouble, but nothing like this. The family's not talking to anyone. If someone inside actually helped the authorities, it must be because they've truly given up hope." But the sense of betrayal here isn't subtle. To be rejected by the courts, by your country, by the very people who raised you, and then to suspect, with good reason, that someone at the family dinner table is quietly making calls to prosecutors, that's next-level heartbreak. Of course, this latest family rumor has only added gasoline to the blaze on social media. Followers, critics, and armchair detectives have begun to dissect every digital breadcrumb, trying to identify the possible mole. Some speculate it was a desperate act of self-preservation, a family member trying to avoid legal blowback. Others think it's a final, desperate attempt at intervention, an act of tough love to snap Johnny out of his reckless spiral. Whatever the truth, the impact is devastating. His legacy is now tainted, not just by the original charges, but by the specter of being outed by his own kin.
A kick streamer is facing 20 years in a South Korean prison after filming himself harassing women, trashing businesses, and disrespecting war monuments.
While the personal betrayals swirl, Johnny's public life continues its slow-motion collapse. His remaining online presence has become a strange mix of bravado and pleading, alternating between taunting prosecutors and begging for donations. The bravest of his fans are starting to peel away, sensing that associating with Johnny Somali is now social poison. Even his old online crew, once so eager to pile on with legal advice, have gone silent, either because they realize the gravity of his predicament, or because they simply don't want their Discord handles showing up in court exhibits. And who can blame them? The man who once seemed untouchable, waltzing across continents and platforms, is now boxed in on every side. With every passing day, the allegations mount and the tone hardens. There's talk of fresh investigations, potential new charges, and prosecutors reportedly salivating at the chance to make an example out of him. "They're going to throw the book at him," one expat lawyer told us flatly, pointing to the national outrage and the new bills being drafted in Parliament specifically because of his stunts. The phrase 10 years is being thrown around like it's a minimum, not a maximum. And with his legal support system reduced to dust, it seems that every new rumor, every new piece of evidence lands with maximum impact. We're not just witnessing the collapse of a streamer, we're witnessing the total meltdown of a self-made villain, brought down by hubris, betrayal, and the endless appetite of the internet for fresh disaster. And yet, even now, with the walls closing in and his options vanishing, Johnny Somali has not admitted defeat. There are whispers, always more whispers, that he's still looking for a miracle. Bribes, international favors, secret allies in high places, but every call goes unanswered. Every back channel, every favor, every plea for help meets the same fate: ignored, rejected, or outright laughed off. No one's rushing in with a suitcase of dollars, no one's flying in to offer a legal Hail Mary, and every moment Johnny tries to stream his side of the story, hoping to reclaim his narrative, he only cements his reputation as the architect of his own downfall. So as the trial date looms and the prosecutors sharpen their knives, we're left to wonder, has Johnny Somali truly hit rock bottom, or is there an even deeper abyss waiting for him? Could his legacy get any more chaotic, or is this the last act in a drama that's already written itself in scandal, betrayal, and bitter irony? We want to hear from you. Does Johnny Somali deserve even the faintest shot at redemption, or is this the ultimate proof that you really can torch every bridge and leave nothing but ashes behind? Drop your take in the comments, because if we've learned one thing, it's that the story isn't over until the internet says so. Until next time, stay tuned, stay bold, and never underestimate just how far a scandal can fall